Well, I guess the type 3 would be moving planets around, building solar systems, and whatever else they want to do. Horus with the sun disk. The serpent is the ancient sign for gravity. Gravity is the force that powers the sun. The reason the serpent was chosen to represent gravity is because the snake's skin is made up of hexagonal shaped scales. The hexagon also makes up the tree of life and makes up the 64-point tetrahedron. And those words go way back into the ancient text. So again, if that's the sun, what's powering the sun is the force of gravity squeezing up on it. And some snakes have four sides, and some have hexagons. So I think that's more hexagon there, but might be reaching on that one. And the serpent pyramid at the Chichen Itza equinox, another sign showing the serpent shadow moving down the side. And you see the shadow moves with the sun going down, meaning the serpent is gravity, and that the pyramid is a gravity condensing lens. I call it a billboard, you know. And there's a gentleman here by the name of H.D. Bewley, probably heard of him, headed a microgravity reading project for the EDF Foundation in the 80s on the Great Pyramid of Giza. He painstakingly took thousands upon thousands of readings with his crew and created this densitogram. This is the outside gravitational fields that were measured on the Great Pyramid of Giza. Mind you, it wasn't done with the knowledge of where the moon was. Because the moon's the big driver behind this. So I'm going to get into that, but nevertheless, we'll take it. You know, it's a nice piece of work. And the densitogram shows the gravity wave changing the density of the stone on the pyramid and the stratification of the gravity wave. Some people thought it was a signature of a ramp. Many mountains and volcanoes have a similar gravity signature to it. So it's a geometrical shaped mass seems to mimic each other as far as gravity signatures like this. I mean, this is a lot better than you'd get on a mountain, obviously. It'd be a lot better if it was in pristine condition. I think this would all be laser beam sharp edges in this gravity reading. If the Great Pyramid of Giza had its exterior casing back on and was closed up and basically in its heyday, you know. And yeah. So, anyways, you have I think it was that Jean-Pierre Houdin. He came up with the pyramid being built by ramps. I think he used this as some of his evidence. He said he thought it was evidence of a ramp underneath the stone when they came up with that fitting, with that theory rather. And he is very good, very nice guy. I talked to him and we shared each other's ideas. And being French, he was very democratic, and he was sort of willing to share his work with me and show me how democracy really works, you know. So that was nice. A nice cultural exchange there. The moon and the earth, largest pyramids work to control magma currents. There's a picture of the moon here. I don't know if anybody in the crowd's got pareidolia, but you just keep an eye on that little round circle there. And basically it's the moon that's lensing the gravitational field inside these pyramids. Everything's a lens. I was getting into this theory and getting involved with the moon and the lunar cycles, 18-and-a-half-year lunar cycle. I didn't learn that in high school, and I thought it was just 28 days and 3 nights of darkness. But anyways, I found this an image of a face with some geometry here, and I kind of dubbed him Amun or Khonsu. Khonsu was given the moon by Amun. He's the driver of the moon, I guess. But Anyways, this, I don't know if you can see that, or, yeah, I might be alone on this one, I don't know, but there's an eyeball right there. He's got the lips, there's an ear. The other ear obviously is blown off, the eye's damaged here. And, you know, he's got like a little bit of a, maybe have a beard there or something off the chin. And so, you know, there's a possibility. I mean, this face is actually 750 miles in diameter, ear to ear. It's not a small image. And the point I wanted to make was, it's you know, the geometry and the exact locations of these shadows, if you will, are perfect. You know, they're like, you know, if you wanted to draw a face like Chris Dunn was just talking about in Giza, there, these faces are you know, pretty accurate. Obviously, this is got some damage. We need to get back up there and fix it. So, so you know, so that's it. I got a few other pictures here. I took these two pictures on the last equinox up on a mountain called Greylock Mountain out in Massachusetts. And you can see a little bit more of a close-up on that. This is the Mare Imbrium section of the moon. If you, you know, so every once in a while you get a good picture of the moon, take a look at it. He's like, the claw comes off the top of his head. And the real face of the moon is 750 miles wide ear to ear. This is with its 100-mile wide eyes and 200-mile wide perfect lips. The geometry alone on this face is incredible, never mind the whites of the eye and perfect geometry. No alien features here either. Made in the human image. So, like I said, it was maybe Amun-Ra. He's the creator god, or Khonsu, or you can put whoever you want in there, really. I mean, it's just something to think about. Okay, this is a little graphic on how the moon's gravitational field works on pyramids, and a lot of pyramids around the world, they have water around them, you know, a lot of these ancient sites. So basically, the pyramids, how pyramids work, it's just as simple. The moon comes over at an angle, you know, whether it's over here, it's still condensing the gravitational field on this particular lens. And the lunar gravitation raises the water tables during each passage are creating a perfect irrigation system for crops. So it basically manages your local groundwater tables. So if you're having problems with groundwater, you build a pyramid. A lot of ancient societies, they would build mounds, you know, and I think that was the reason they would build giant mounds, and they would create a you know, gravity density. And for the most part, it gives it a higher tide. It fills in when you get the moon coming over. It will pull the water up to the pyramid, and you know, and then as the moon passes, it'll settle back down into the crevices, and so forth and so forth. And then, you know, you spin back around again and do it again. So it's a way of managing water. I think they might want to use this technology out in California. We'll see. I don't know. I think this guy's out by us right now. I guess he built the gold pyramid out here. Was it in Michigan or
Illinois?
Illinois. Okay. He was partially, you know, finished, and then the whole place went underwater on him. No. So, anyways. There's some stories, I don't know. How the Earth pyramids work coupled to the moon's gravitational force. Gravitational nanolensing happens inside the center line of the pyramid, forming a gravity vortex. This lowers the gravitational field 180 degrees opposed to the pyramid on the same approximate latitude, thus lowering the gravitational field, allowing magma to flow out of a volcano. You know, the Hawaiian hotspot, and you know, the Giza Plateau pyramids, or the Nile Valley pyramids. This again is a great rendition of what's going on with a gravity wave, and you'll see the center mass when the moon is pulling. It's actually pulling if there was no moon, the gravitational field would be dead center on the axis, or the North Pole. But because you have the moon pulling the gravitational bubble, I call it the bubble, and or the field, it offsets the the center of the gravitational field, and thus lowers the gravitational field on the moonless side. And that's how you get your high tides, like I was saying. That's how you get your mountains to rise up, and this basically keeps the Hawaiian hotspot open, which there isn't really a good explanation of why the Hawaiian hotspot even exists, except for maybe now with the Great Pyramids, or the pyramids on the Giza Plateau. So with that in mind, I mean, you ask yourself a question: why would you want a constant erupting volcano? Why would you want to carve through a tectonic plate year in and year out for I don't want to scare everybody on the time, but anyways, I'm in good company, millions and millions of years. With that in mind, it's it's like a relief valve. You're constantly coming into cosmic energies, the sun. You got the equinoxes, you got the constant changes of the seasons. It's just a little bleeder valve out there in the Pacific. And letting off magma, bleed magma off, instead of having the traditional volcanoes that just blow up and seal themselves back up. Granted, this doesn't remove volcanoes around the planet from erupting, but it does help bleed off the magma pressure in this particular geographical location out in the Pacific Ocean. Let's see what else we have. So there's the pyramid or mass on this side. Water level rise, high gravitational force, moon's gravitational force, and I think that's about it. Here's a nice picture of what's going on under our feet, and I kind of like this one. I picked this one because it kind of gives you an idea of the Hawaiian Islands, and that's a hotspot. There's the general consensus of a hotspot is you have two side-by-side currents, vertical currents that are just rotating. And because of the Giza Plateau pyramids, or the pyramids in the Nile Valley, it lowers the gravitational field, and it cuts through these tectonic plates year in and year out, and it stays stationary. Like most volcanoes that erupt, the plate goes over and seals it, but not here in the Hawaiian hotspot. So there's some anomaly going on out there, and this would be like maybe California, and over here would be Japan. But there's a mid-ocean ridge. I think there's it moves the Pacific plate moves 4 inches to the west towards Japan and 2 inches towards California, in that area. And it kind of gives you a clear visual of the pyramid being a lens, with the king's chamber, the queen's chamber, a subterranean chamber. Might have to read this one. Great Pyramid lens of Giza, and the gravitational focal points, also known as the king, queen, and subterranean chamber, located in the center line of the Great Pyramid of Giza. In the past, these focal points would have been filled with gold to increase the gravitational field density in these 3 focal points. Zachariah Sitchin and his account of the Anunnaki need for gold for their atmosphere ties into this technology quite well. And it's just a little throw out there, but I mean, you can put lead in there. You could put uranium, raw uranium. Anything dense that would increase the gravitational field in this particular area, and these are the focal points, And if you go back to H.D. Bewey's densitogram, there's there's a high, a low, and then a high and a low, and it kind of lines up with these 7 signatures on the outside of that densitogram, and that would perfectly line up to 3 particular focal points being focused on inside the center line of the pyramid.
Can you put copper in there?
Is there copper in there?
The copper work?
Yeah, anything that's dense, I think, would help increase the gravitational field inside the pyramid. Just a theory I have. Got a lot of theories. Yeah. So here's a couple of good designs of the pyramids, different pyramid designs and gravity lens focal points. You notice all of them are in the center lines. They have, you know, not quite, but you know, they're pretty close. And they, you know, who knows? You know, I'm thinking it's possible they fill these particular places up with dense material to get more gravitational pull out of them. Whether it was just for local water management or magma control, it's still out there. The jury's still out on that one. The Giza Plateau pyramids, working with gravitational forces from the moon, could be used to lock in magnetic north to true north, controlling iron-rich magnetic magma currents. That is before these pyramids were broken into 833 by Alma Moon and further damaged by in 1833 by Colonel Weiss and his gunpowder archaeology. They did some damage in that pyramid. The way you disable a pyramid is by opening them up. This destructive action lowers the gravitational field inside the center line of the pyramid. So these pyramids, when they were put in place for a function, a Geo Engineering function, whether it was water, locking in magnetic north to true north, or magma control, like I said earlier. So I think when you open these up, you kind of disable them. And what do humans do when they find something? They want to go into it. The poles are generated by movements within the Earth's inner and outer cores. Though the exact process isn't exactly understood, they're constantly in flux, moving a few degrees each year, but the changes are almost never as such of a magnitude that the runways require adjusting, said Paul Takamato, spokesman for the FAA. I think that's what down in Florida they had to move the make some adjustments on the runways because of planes. Was it too? Yeah, all over the place. Okay. As some observations I've been making with you know, my study of the Earth, and these basically have gone unnoticed. There seems to be there's hexagons. There's some hexagon energy out here in the planet. It's not just on Saturn and Jupiter. This is the Antarctica, ice-free, under the ice right now. And you can see it has some kind of a hexagon shape. It's not perfect. There's some damage, you know, but it's a little it's a hexagon nevertheless. And this is the Kilauea mountain volcano rather out in Hawaii. And it was during a breather for it, you know, because that's usually spewing magma 24/7, 365. But you can see there's some kind of a you know, a hexagon built into it, you know. You know, I'm like maybe I'm obsessed with hexagons and moons now. I don't know. So I kind of just figured I'd throw that out there. It's just you know, share that the hexagons do happen naturally on the planet Earth. It's not just Saturn and Jupiter. This is a, you know, we're talking about ice ages. I think earlier there, one of the speakers, a few of the speakers. So this is something out of the scientific community, and they kind of just I added a little bit to it. They basically weren't saying it would cause an earth tilt, but they did say that the higher water table or the water or the higher levels in the ocean are causing more drag on the planet. And I think a few months ago they added a second to the rotation of the planet because it's slowing down. One of the three scenarios that can cause Earth to plunge into a deep ice age as Earth's oceans rise due to ice melting, an increase in opposite ocean forces felt against the solid mass of the continents as the continents spin into the moon's larger high tides. This pounding force will slow rotational speed, which maybe that's the cause, or it could be just the moon's drag on the oceans slowing up the speed. And rotational speed changing the Earth, and this could cause a change in the Earth's tilt. The slower the Earth spins, the colder we get. The change is 23.5 to, who knows, 0, 5, 10, whatever. But anyways, you get less light at the poles, and it'll drive the global temperatures down across the Earth. You'll be I mean, you'll be, you know, in the equatorial zone, you'll still be getting decent sunlight. So there'll be some